So we're going to get started. Welcome to the Needham Free Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. This is the July 14th, 2026 open public meeting of the Needham Free Public Library Board of Trustees, being held by a hybrid format allowing remote attendance.
Yeah.
Take a roll call. Kay Cahill.
Here.
Erhard Gray.
Here.
Jay Fialkov.
Here.
Rob Pettit.
Here.
Joshua Small.
Here.
Megan Small.
Here.
And myself, Michael O'Neill, here. Library staff. Library Director Robert McLean.
Here.
Administrative Specialist Jenna White.
Here.
Program Specialist Gay Ellen Dennett.
Here.
Recording Secretary Faith Christian.
Here.
Are there any other attendees? Do we have a representative from the Library Foundation, Needham? Nope. Okay. This meeting is being recorded. If there's a problem that prevents the completion of this meeting, we will reconvene at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. I hereby call this meeting of the Needham Free Public Library Board of Trustees to order. Exactly what time it is, at 7:04 p.m. Any public comments? Here we go. Citizens are welcome to speak up to 3 minutes each, not to exceed a total of 10 minutes. Citizens are encouraged to inform the library director in advance of their intention to speak. Those who provide advance notice will be called upon first. While the board will take public comments under advisement, there may be no opportunity for discussion or debate during this portion of the meeting. Okay, request a motion to approve the minutes of the, June 9th, 2026 minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Any trustee comments on the minutes? We have to vote on that, right?
Thank you for the excellent minutes.
Yes, thanks, Faith.
Thank you, Faith. Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. Erhard Gray.
I vote I vote to abstain because I was not at that meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Did you watch the video? Would that count?
It's a good question. Does that count?
You know, I honestly assumed it counted once when I had watched the video and then reviewed the minutes.
I think
I'm going to stick with my abstention for now, but
Okay.
I think that's worth.
And I'm not going to tell you that I once did that.
You didn't say that. This is all hypothetical. That'd be a good idea to find out if that is okay. All right. So the trustees that are here: Kay Cahill,
Aye.
Jay Fialkov,
Aye.
Rob Pettit,
Aye.
Joshua Small,
Aye.
Megan Small,
Aye.
and myself, Michael O'Neill, say aye. The minutes are approved. All right. We're going to do something just a tad bit different. We're going to go to, if you just look at your old business, we have an action item to update on the NCYF drawings and paintings to vote to approve proclamation letter, and many thanks to Rob and Kay Cahill for putting this together. I think it was a classy move by our board and just something to really just let them know in our own special way to say thank you. And I really and truly appreciate Kay Cahill for assuming the mantle of that and moving that forward quite easily. And as the chair of the board, it was great to be able to delegate something to someone I knew who could really knock it out of the park. So thank you, Kay.
Thank you. This is a proclamation by the library, not the town.
No,
The trustees.
the
The trustees.
trustees, yes.
Okay.
And so we'll send the letter,
Hey,
which
do you
is
wanna-
basically.
Do you want to, yes,
Yeah, just so it's from the trustees to thank, Amy and John. I don't know if we want to read the proclamation into the record or.
that would be good.
Is it, I defer to others, is that necessary, or we all see it, or
Yeah.
should it be read in?
I think that there'll be a copy of it in the
Impact.
packet.
It's in the packet, okay.
Yes.
So, and everybody will be asked to sign it. I don't know at what point you want to
Uh-huh.
distribute them. Um, So, yes, so just for the public record, this is a proclamation from the trustees where we unanimously and enthusiastically say thank you to John and Amy Wyeth for all the wonderful things that it says in the proclamation.
Do we deliver to them like a framed proclamation or anything like that as part of this?
Well, it's kind of a,
Oh, it's multiple page, yeah.
it's two
It's two pages,
page, but
okay.
it's on a decorative.
Okay, nice.
Sheet, and it's kind of the way that.
Good, this is the way it works?
Does
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Very, very nice.
I think
I
the
do-
only,
I do think it would be appropriate to read and record as the video, generally as a proclamation. Usually when town meeting offers one of these proclamations, they're read aloud during the meeting, and then said that the vote is to not only endorse the proclamation, but also to record it in the minutes officially.
I think that does make sense. I was gonna say, because when people go to watch the video, they're not gonna have access to it unless it's actually read into so that's such a nicely
All
written
right,
thing.
so may I look at this one? Is that okay? It's a little bigger than. So, a proclamation honoring John Wyeth and Amy Wyeth for the donation of the Charles River in the fall by N.C. Wyeth. Whereas Newell Converse Wyeth, known to generations as N.C. Wyeth, was born on October 22, 1882 in Needham, and from his early years in this community developed the powers of observation, imagination, and artistic skill that would distinguish his life's work. And whereas N.C. Wyeth rose to national prominence as one of America's foremost illustrators and painters, including illustrating many prominent periodicals, literary classics, including Treasure Island, Kidnapped, and Robin Hood, and The Last of the Mohicans. And whereas N.C. Wyeth achieved lasting fame for images of uncommon vigor, drama, and imagination, becoming a central figure in the important Brandywine tradition and the patriarch of one of the most distinguished artistic families in American art. And whereas John Wyeth and Amy Wyeth, descendants of the Wyeth family of Needham, grew up in Needham and long preserved works by N.C. Wyeth and successive artists of the Wyeth family, thereby maintaining a cherished connection between Wyeth's artistic legacy and the town of Needham. Whereas John Stimson Wyeth Sr., a former librarian, and Betty Gardner Wyeth, a former board member and treasurer of the Friends of Needham Public Library, are the parents of John. This is a typo in there. Of John and Amy.
John, yeah.
And Amy, so we may have. And previously donated artworks by N.C. Wyeth to the Needham Free Public Library, setting an example of generosity and preservation of the family's artistic heritage. And whereas in 2026, John Wyeth and Amy Wyeth generously donated the magnificent oil painting, The Charles River in the Fall, by N.C. Wyeth to the Needham Free Public Library for the enjoyment, education, and inspiration of all Needham residents and visitors. Whereas this extraordinary gift enriches the cultural life of the town, honors Needham's place in the history of American art, and ensures that a work by one of Needham's most renowned native sons will remain accessible to the public for generations to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Needham Free Public Library hereby expresses its profound gratitude to John Wyeth and Amy Wyeth on behalf of the townspeople of Needham for their generous donation of the Charles River in Fall, which shall be displayed for public view in the library, and further recognizes this gift as a lasting tribute to the artistic heritage of Needham and to the enduring legacy of N.C. Wyeth. Signed this 14th day of July, 2026, by the trustees of the Needham Free Public Library.
is there a way to get that typo removed so that we can
Sign tonight.
sign tonight. Uh, It's the cover page, so that's gonna be probably not that difficult. And
If we move along and
I will try.
end early, I can run upstairs and get
Wow,
that
what a
done
guy.
in a split second.
What a guy. And then we have to wait for our dear Earhart to come back from Pennsylvania and sign himself, so that'll be good. And
Should we take a formal vote to approve
Yeah, we should.
those resolutions?
yes, that's the next item.
Do we need to approve the letter also?
Oh, we can.
I mean, while we're at it, there's an accompanying letter.
Do we have to
All right,
read
let's
the
go on
letters?
both.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go on both. So I don't need to read the letter.
Right. Sorry, this is all out of order. You know, the list of gifts was done first where you accept the Wyatt and then this, but also there's a letter of thanks to be sent to the Library Foundation of Needham for the second item on the list of gifts, the 14 works by Wyatt on paper. So that's a letter that was not drafted in advance and would just be sent along as no proclamation, just a letter of thanks from the board, library trustees, from under Michael's signature to the foundation, saying similar to what the John Lee thank you letter says.
Yeah.
For the 14 sketches that they
Purchase. Yeah.
So do we need to,
probably two
address-
separate motions, perhaps.
Right.
One regarding John and Amy and their donation, and one regarding the LFN and their donation.
right, and is there a third where we would have to go to the list of gifts first to approve that?
I don't necessarily think so. I think once we do this, we can go down.
Is there a motion to, on the floor to,
I'll move this one, unless somebody else, I'll move that we accept both letter and proclamation to John and Amy Wyeth from the Board of Trustees of the Needham Library.
I'll second it.
Second.
oh, okay, got, I think I heard Earhart. He's far away, I gotta
It's
give
in
him some.
replay.
So that's good. So let me, so Earhart, you're not going to, would you abstain on this or would you be okay?
No, I endorse this proclamation.
Okay, good, good. Okay, trustees, I'll say Earhart Grape since he's the furthest away on this motion to accept.
Yeah, aye.
Okay. Kate Cahill,
Aye.
Jay Fialka,
Aye.
Rob Pettit,
Aye.
Joshua Small,
Aye.
Megan Small,
Aye.
and myself, Michael O'Neill, aye. It passes unanimously. This is great. All right, then, so that we can move along, I think go back in time a little bit and do our director's report, or is there something I'm missing?
Yeah, just the first part of the old business was just for us to give an update on the
Oh,
drawings and the painting and
So,
where we are.
you want to give the update?
Yes.
Okay,
So we brought the 14 drawings to the Northeast Conservation Center and received a report from them in June for the conservation work that's needed, along with cost estimates and digitization costs and costs to mount and map the 14 drawings when they're finished and conserved. That amount is higher than what was set aside in the library city and spending plan for FY '27. We also want to clean the Charles River in the fall before it's hung on the wall. It looks bright. It doesn't look like it needs extensive work, but it would be nice to bring it to an conservation company to have it addressed.
With the drawings, could we select really just a selection of four or something out of the whole group?
So,
Whatever.
You mean to only do a certain?
Well, yeah, to not have to pay for all of them, which is a lot of drawings, and to select, our favorites, the favorites.
So, that's one thought. Another thought is for us to see if the Library Foundation leader might be able to help out. The next meeting is in September. We're very supportive of the purchase.
See, that would be great. I'm not sure how much money we're talking about, but that would be wonderful. They're already in it.
Yeah. So if that were to happen, then some of the set aside for conservation work at the library city for the drawings could be used for the cleaning up the painting. So we're just going to do some work this summer to.
We should document by video the process of somehow cleaning the painting and getting it ready from where it is to where it'll be, if that's possible.
Yeah, I'll ask her.
So in reading the report.
Even if it's a Needham High School student or something, but that would be worth.
So in reading the report from the New England Conservation Agency, particularly for the sketches, it's very involved process because of their age and fragility, and oil painting stands up a little better, but the sketches are on old paper, and paper degrades, and there's a lot of sort of not just cleaning but sort of repair of tears and folds that to make them viable going forward, and to be able to so they don't just disintegrate altogether. So it turned out to be a little more involved than I think we had anticipated, but it seems worth it. I mean, Jay, what you suggest or your idea is one way of doing it, to do maybe sort of piecemeal. But if we do have, a group that like the foundation and they turn out to be willing to help us with that process, doing it all at one time, it seems to, that would be a good thing.
We also have reached out to Amy and John to invite them to suggest some dates from mid-November to mid-December when they will be in town, be able to stop by and for us to have an unveiling and celebration of their donation, and also invite the foundation board to also honor them and thank them for their donation. So we hear back from some dates for John particularly. He does not live in Massachusetts, so we want to coordinate something where it might be in Boston for a celebration or something. So we're working on that too.
And John and Amy, what they really want is to see the painting on display. It's been in storage for 20 years, and they want people to be able to see it. That's their intention.
I saw in one of the documents I reviewed something that suggested that we're making a commitment to keeping the work up and in public. Does that commitment apply just to the painting, but not necessarily to all of those sketches in terms of an ongoing obligation to keep?
Yes.
Just the painting?
Because that's was donated.
Okay.
Yeah, the drawings were purchased and a gift from the foundation for our archives.
I thought so. Just wanted to make sure.
Just to let trustees know sort of what happened with the acceptance of the list of gifts at the June meeting, where it then went to the select board, and then there was press surrounding that. I assume the same thing will occur once the select board agenda next Tuesday is out with Wyatt paintings having to be accepted. Mm-hmm. So we're preparing for that with Amy Halson from Town Hall. Great.
And I thought, I don't know how many of you read the Needham Observer article about it, but it was really nicely done. It was a beautiful feature article, and Rob did a really good job of responding. They asked him it was about the donation of the big donation from Murray. And, you know, I thought Rob handled very well, so thank you.
Yeah.
No, nicely put.
Okay, but with that being said, is there anything additional? Gerhard, anything additional? Okay. Let's move on to the director's report. Okay, well,
The children's department report for June may look a little bit different. That's because Diana, our assistant director, put it together. Although the last day was Friday, June 26th. So it's more in a narrative format than maybe used to. Just to let you know, an important number that's not here, but is as of today, there are 740 kids signed up for our summer reading program. So a nice start to that program. In the third paragraph here, you can see that by the end of June, the kids who had been enrolled had read 132,000 minutes already.
Is it possible to describe briefly how the program works?
Kids enroll in it and they can log their minutes. So they log in through SAT.
So not counting books, they're counting just minutes?
Minutes of reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, not numbers of books.
Right, okay.
It should be picture books or chapter books, so it's.
And it's whatever they want to read, there's not particular books suggested for particular.
We have those summer reading lists
Uh-huh.
available from the schools, so we have all those available, but our summer reading program and the tracking the minutes is for.
Got it.
Reading is done.
Good, thanks.
And there's a race of the schools and the dinosaurs are racing across the wall.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the last I checked, the
Okay,
leader
good.
was right above the volcano exploding with lava. It's quite telling of what,
Have we always done that?
not dinosaurs, but yes, a race.
A race, okay.
Yeah. So at the end of the summer, the community school gets to hold the trophy for the academic year. The summer reading program kicked off at the end of June with Diamond Man. We had 122 people attend that program here. Inflatable dinosaur.
Yeah.
Success there. On to the last paragraph of the children's Diane just complete what she describes as a heartwarming story about the reading rocket program. Daughter's mother told us about a daughter. You can see here it says she suddenly became very motivated to practice reading. She wanted to do a good job for Rocket. So I wanted to see how the Read to a Dog program inspired a child to practice reading and perhaps begin developing a lifelong love of books. So just an FYI, because I don't think everyone understands like what is the purpose of reading to a dog. And the purpose is for those kids who are reluctant readers or hesitant about making mistakes in front of adults or another person. Don't have that judgment from a dog, and so they can practice reading out loud and make mistakes or not. Those readers they gain confidence that they might not have. So this is a story of one young patron feeling that.
We need to bring Rocket to one of our trustee meetings. So I think.
Give him a proclamation.
I'll give him a proclamation.
As noted earlier in the report, the Rocket sessions are very popular. So we're really thankful to the police department for doing that work with us. Moving on to the circulation department, some more FY26 numbers. One that's recorded elsewhere is the museum passes approached 2,000 checkouts. So we hope to surpass that in FY27. Starting this week, we're rolling out the social media message highlighting museum passes. We started to include a pass of the month in the monthly newsletter. So we thank Karen and her team for those efforts to bring more attention to this. When all the passes are free to check out, but they're mostly discounted passes, discounted admission passes, but it's a great help to a lot of families to save those dollars and still bring your kids or loved ones to some of the most amazing institutions for culture, and art, and science.
Yeah, the price can really add up if you're bringing the whole family.
We did get a free one that we've added. It's South Beach, not in Miami,
Oh, that'd be great.
but in Westwood. It's run by Hale.
Oh, the Hill Reservation.
So
I didn't know they called that South Beach.
so it's South Beach. So if you want to head over there, you've got a free pass.
That's nice, actually. Take kids swimming. I don't know.
The materials by mail service. We had 12 new patrons in FY26, and a total of 616 items were mailed and received back. And so we thank the U.S. Postal Service for this free service that they provide to these patrons who are from that we can't get to that way. Tech Services had a incredible month. They cataloged 1,657 items in June as boxes poured in every day before the end of the fiscal year. So they really did a great job in getting all that done. In reference, we continue to see the recent record-breaking numbers for Libby continue. We have 12,090 items checked out from Libby, almost 1,300 checkouts from Hoopla. The Hoopla checkouts aren't increasing as much as Libby because we've sort of capped our spending for Hoopla. It's a cost per circ model versus either purchase licenses or the network or other state to purchase licenses.
Why would someone use Hoopla instead of Libby? I use Libby, but I don't know why.
There's no wait.
Oh,
It says we pay per checkout.
That's
There's
right.
no wait for this thing. And so a lot of our audiobook listeners use Hoopla because the ebook licenses in Libby are very expensive. So there's more to choose from in Hoopla, but
Maybe I should download honestly the Hoopla app.
it's
Living with it, Libby.
but there's not as much current content. Like today's best sellers aren't in Hoopla.
And you're not capping it at what you're using per month.
We have a number of checkouts per month. So we adjusted that in FY26 to bring in the spending to $36,000 for the whole year. We expand that to $39,000 for FY27. So the first few months we'll still keep that cap to see how it's going.
How many checkouts is that? Is 33,000 a month?
How much? So 1,300 checkouts in June. It's about $3,000. So it's just over.
It's like $200 a checkout per pick.
Right. Yeah. There are other ways to restrict what our patrons see. We could restrict by price. So if we wanted to say anything over $3.99 per checkout, don't show it to our patrons because there are different ways we can play with that. We're trying to do it in a way that we want patrons to have choice. So saying we have 8 checkouts or 6 checkouts per month is, we think, a better way to control our spending than to say, don't show our patrons
More expensive.
this amount.
And like everything else, is it a super user issue? Like all
That's what?
a super user issue? Like is it an 80-20 problem, like all problems are 80-20 problems, or like whereas like most of it's being driven by people who use their 8 a month, and
Yeah,
there are lots of people who use 0 a month kind of thing, or 1 a month.
well, the number of overall users, if you looked at that, yes, but the current consistent users is not an 80-20 issue. Like if I signed up like last year and I tried it and then I just like fell away from it, I'm still considered like a user.
Right.
I'm not like being denied.
But I guess in the active user pool, is it like there's a bunch of people using 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever the max is, and like people using 1 a month kind of thing? It's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna see the active ones. Advance of building maintenance, we have an interesting project coming up next week. So we have the town signed a new 10-year lease with Christ Church across the street for the library to use the Highland Avenue parking lot. Former 10-year lease had a provision that the town was to seal coat the parking lot. So it is now. So that work starts Wednesday, July 22nd. Finish the evening of Saturday, July 25th, before Sunday service the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So on Wednesday evening, the parking lot will be blocked off so that it will be empty on Thursday morning when it's seal coated. On Friday, it needs to cure, and then on Saturday, once that's done, the markings will be applied on Saturday, and then Saturday evening it will be opened up again.
Where do we expect patrons to park? Can we make arrangements with Sudbury Farm, Dave?
Well, we've talked to Park and Recreation, and they've allowed staff as well as patrons to use the Memorial Field.
The Memorial Field parking right across the street?
Which is diagonally across the street.
The only thing is that's the weekend of the carnival.
Oh,
So there will be a lot of people looking for parking. I don't know if we are able to find an alternate, or it's just that we have,
Yeah, we picked that period because we didn't have a lot of large summer reading programming going on. We'll still have Rosemary Street entrance there.
but it'll be done, you said, for Sunday, so it's really only for the Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday,
Wednesday,
and
well,
Saturday.
I think the carnival opens Thursday, so.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's open all day on Sunday.
what are the dates again for the carnival?
the 23rd to the 26th.
Well, 12. It's like in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I think it's not like an evening thing on Sunday.
It's all day on Sunday.
Do you happen to know? Are they going to like be restriping it so there are less but larger spots up there? Because
Less but larger.
yeah, I mean, so like. I mean, I don't know who's restriping it, but like, obviously the parking up there is extraordinarily tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
it
it
is.
was as bad as Rosemary, where we've got the compact car only.
Well, no, right, nothing's as bad as that compact car only, but like up top, it's pretty bad too. I mean, it's not our lot, so.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I'll reach
really
out
up
to
to the church,
DPW
right?
about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because we're just one leasing.
Yes,
space, as well as the church using it on Sundays and during.
Is there an idea of how many spaces are up there, just so if it,
Right now,
Somebody.
I don't know how many there are.
I was just wondering because of your question, that they would have to make them bigger.
Right, you lose a spot here or there.
A couple, yeah.
Right.
So, but I think that would more or less be the call of the church where,
They probably have the same concern.
Right, and vehicles are much larger than
Yeah.
20 years ago, probably when that was redone.
Yeah. Mostly SUVs.
that's why I park on that stripe. I park in the middle of it. So I have, I open both my doors.
Also, it's you.
Oh, no, I've got plenty of room.
Don't say that out loud.
personnel, we have a few new hires joined us in the children's department in June. And Paul was able to onboard them before she left at the end of June. I have an offer out to a person to be our new children's supervisor and working with HR to finalize that. So when it is signed, we will make announcement. So Fairway HR is short-staffed. Complete necessity before these positions. It's a requirement for any town position to positions. It's just some paperwork we're waiting to. Under the last religious stuff that I was doing since the last meeting, which I wasn't there. Last item, we hosted the monthly meeting of the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners last Thursday morning. And, thanks to Michael J. and K for attending. It's here in this room. It's a 2-hour meeting. Interesting. Different support organizations that are there and speak. And then we brought the commissioners and MBSC staff out to the team room for a tour. And universally they were amazed and very complimentary of the space, including the head of the library construction program for the state, saying it was the best to in the state.
So we should get that in writing. Yeah.
So it was a good day for the library to show off. 25 years ago is when the MBLC awarded a construction grant to NEO for this renovation and addition, just over $3 million. So it was nice to have it back 25 years later to see a fully town-funded project.
Great success.
Do they still get grants?
Yep,
I was gonna
at
ask the
that
same
meeting, they awarded one to Falmouth and one to Hudson.
Okay.
I think the total was $20 million or so that they just gave out. So, yeah, it's a very active and rare program across the country. There aren't many like this.
Oh, also, they did mention that the Massachusetts Library Trustees Association, which is our Library Trustees Association statewide, is having its annual on November 14th on Saturday in Worcester, which isn't too far. So that would be something we can discuss if any of us want to attend. That's something, getting closer to the date, November 14th.
For the laureate program, we had a meeting last week, and the fall mark is up through the summer. That's changed things, and then we'll be putting an Emily Dickinson poem that's been made into a picture book up for the fall.
And where again will we find this poem wall?
On the rail trail.
The rail trail.
It's part of the Bay Colony.
Yep.
Down at Charles River Peninsula, the trustees property.
Before moving on, I just want to back up before the laureate program just to talk about phase 2 and plans we have for that project. So I just want to let you know, fall, it feels like summer's over already. Fall will be here soon, and with it, the budget as well as the capital improvement plan for FY 28 to 32. Again, so we'll be submitting design funding to request design for phase 2 for FY 28, and then construction for phase 2 for 29, and then 30, 31, 32 will continue phase 3 design, phase 3 construction, phase 4 design. So we'll submit it as we submitted it last year. I'll talking to Hank Path this summer to update those design and construction numbers. The framework study, if things had played out the way the study had, would be under construction this summer of the children's department. So we may have to adjust those numbers for the capital improvement plan.
And aren't we gonna kind of revisit the ideas for the, you know, the initial design may not be, maybe altered according to, we have a new director, new children's director coming in.
New library director,
New-
since,
We have a new library director since that was passed, and children's supervisors, or
Yeah, so
new input.
when design was approved next May, we would start next July on the design of phase 2, and we would use that work as a basis, but revamp it to the needs of the kids now.
trying to work within the same budget that was previously. Do you have a budget?
There was a budget for construction based on that preliminary design.
So we're looking to, if we are going to revise it, our plans, it would be sort of trying within the scope of that same budget.
I think a year from now, when we submit the capital improvement plan for FY 29 through 33, that construction dollar request for phase 2 will be even more revised if needed.
Yep.
But the revision now would be an escalation beyond where the study left off.
Okay.
But, so in preparation, we've talked a lot about advocacy and how to move the project so that we see green lights all along the way and we get the design money approved. So this summer, reaching out to 2 or 3 trustees to see if they want to meet now in August, our next meeting, on a weekly basis, just to talk about some logistics about the advocacy work and also just planning out a strategy for the different audiences we have to convince to say yes. So under public meeting law, I, as director, am allowed to have meetings to get advice from a small number of trustees. So if anybody has an interest, if you want to let me know, but I think we start meeting next week, and it can be by Zoom or in person, and just to have a regular weekly meeting so that in August we can talk to the board about the plan as September approaches. One idea that we had talked about, an idea Keith and Erhard had come up with, was house in September. Follow up to the April. So stuff like that, I think we need to solidify our thinking and what we need to do all along the way to make sure phase 2 gets approved.
I should mention, we sort of started the process a little bit with our letter to the select board about the town goals, in which we inserted, several paragraphs focused on getting funding for the next phase, the children's.
Yeah, thanks, Jay, for handling that nicely.
It was a team effort, Rob,
And Rob,
but we figured we might as well get started with the process of letting them know we're coming for them to try and seek the funding.
I just looked it up because I know I've mentioned it before, but at the annual town meeting, the finance committee did present a rescheduled identified future capital projects. And so from that presentation, they had the children's area funding year for 2032. And for phase 3 for circulation area was also 2032, and reference department was 2033. Because of the pressure that Pollard will put on the debt and the percentage of debt that we will be carrying. So just a note to keep in mind as we have these arguments.
Yeah.
We should absolutely continue to do, but just that
What did you say what was the year for the children's?
2032.
Okay, so.
So that's the finance committee, but the town manager makes the, sets the budget each year.
And we haven't even started the effort to persuade the finance committee or town meeting or the select board or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things in front of it. So arguing to move up in the list, I think it's.
I saw there was funding for the senior center. They had substantial funding for a project.
There's a lot of
Was that the kitchen?
parks and, or no,
Yes.
sorry,
It's hard to argue against the senior center, you
DPW,
know.
sorry, DPW stuff and pickleball court for $3 million. Action park and pickleball court.
There's a lot of competing needs,
Yes,
and we have to compete.
Yes.
Well,
I think it's important that we try to position ourselves so that we're in queue and just kind of ride some of the wave to make sure we are strategically positioned to make our pitch. And I'm quite aware that we have really wonderful people at this table who can pull that together. We are in a large competition because some of these, Mitchell was the same as it was when I went there. Pollard is the same as it was when I went there.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
That. Rob, you mentioned that we had a plan that it was supposed to be, the children's area was supposed to be done by 2026. On this note, it says moved from 2028.
The framework study that
Right.
was done,
Okay.
just had, if it had played out, construction would have started this summer or this fall.
The original plan.
The original plan. So the cost estimates in that study are related to that timeline, which is out of whack now. So for this SIP coming up, I'll just need to talk to Hank about what's an appropriate escalation to add to those numbers so they're reality based and not old.
Yeah, it seems like it had already been adjusted since then. This claims that it was 2028 for the funding year for the children's area, which is already off of the 2026 start. So I can send it to you separately so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, which document are you looking at?
This is the one they presented.
Oh, did you talk about the finance committee?
Yeah, the finance
Oh,
committee
okay.
one. So over here it just says moved from 2028, but then you're saying the original plan it was 2026, so it seemed like it was already moved once.
Well, I think they're talking about the SIP,
Okay.
which is this, the framework study had nothing to do with the SIP, it was just sort of that work, and they said,
Got it.
Yeah.
No worries. Didn't mean to put too much of a digression there.
I think it's good. This is why we're here.
Yeah.
And I think everybody to contribute that information, make sure we're on the same page. That's important.
So, if anyone's interested in weekly meetings during the summer, I'm happy to hear, but I'll reach out to send an email tomorrow to trustees, but this would be important for us to meet, and then in August, decide as the plan. Moving on to the financial reports. We're in a new fiscal year, so the operating budget report, here, except for a few stragglers, is our last spending report of FY26. So you can see here overall we've spent 93.6% of our budget, with
a 6.6% balance in salaries because of some open positions during the year and new hires coming in at a lower salary. That makes up that. We overspent our expenses by almost 2%, which is okay because we underspent our budget for materials. We still have met our materials expenditure requirement for FY26 that the NBLC has for us. Some of this spending is connected to the Baker Taylor crashing and dying this fall, which might reward for. But we're also just re-examining how we're tracking spending to make sure it's more consistent on a monthly basis through FY27 and don't turn back. So overall, there's a 6.4% balance in our budget. 134 that came from salaries. State aid account. So this is last FY26 report. I think we got all of the last invoices in on this report for you. So I think what I think is interesting here is the FY26 running expense. So you can see that we paid $79,120 in bills related to the priorities the trustees set. So we have a remaining balance of almost $98,000, but you can see $79,000 of that was the emergency contingency for phase 1, which didn't happen, and $5,000 of that was for the visual design branding strategy services, which ended up being $5,000. So between the two, that was $84,000 of the 97. So I feel really good about our state aid spending according to the plan, and especially how the boards, specifically the finance committee, is expecting this to be the norm. You know, that there is a plan for the use of library state aid on a regular basis, and that it is not a fake plan, but a plan that's really important
and essential.
Right. So that's our last FY26 library city spending plan. Good night. Goodbye and good night. And then the trust fund report, the big thing here is Robert T. Murray's donation is listed, as well as $3,200 worth of expenses that are detailed in the director's report there. Most of that having to do with funding provided to us by the Friends.
Where does the Murray gift rank in terms of the individual donations? Is that the highest or one of the highest we've ever received?
As one gift, I don't know of another a higher one.
I just wonder if it's appropriate. I mean, if it's appropriate, he died alone, didn't leave family, but if it would be appropriate to have some sort of plaque or acknowledgement or recognition for something. So just something to consider. Not pushing forward. I'm just
Also, once we know what we're going to use it
once we know
for,
what the money's being used for.
Yeah.
maybe we
In
could
the
somehow
meantime,
roll that into that.
His name is upstairs etched on one of the glass panels.
Oh, from
Yeah, been passed
Previous
on
donation.
to the foundation. But yeah, I think just to follow up on that, that's such a large amount of money and it has a restriction on its use. It's a specific subline under our permanent donation fund, so it's separated out from money so that for other purposes it's easy to track spending against it.
So we
To
don't
make
just
sure it's
put it away in the
right or against the restrictions of
Right.
Moving on to the statistical reports, lucky you, there were 3 of them. I was so excited. There were 4, and I was like, oh, I'll just send 3. So this covers our fourth quarter, our monthly stats, and then our annual stats, and then a comparison of 26 to 25. So there are three. The first one is the FY 26 quarterly statistics report. It has Q4, Q3, Q2, Q1, and then first quarter 4 broken down. So we ended the fiscal year strong. The downloads of electronic content, which is Libby and Hoopla and Canopy, and our digital magazines was 41,615, which is looks like it's a small increase over quarter one, but usually quarter one, which includes July, August, and September, the summertime, is for downloadable content is usually the high quarter of the year. So it's quite impressive to see it be higher, even if it's only by 19 checkouts. So we're excited about that. Under June 2026, I just want to bring your attention to the teen room attendance. It keeps growing. It's more than May. That's despite school getting out June. So we're really excited to see that space. Overall, for FY 26, you can see 10,335 people enter the space. When we shared that information with the NBLC staff and commissioners, they were gobsmacked. They said a lot of the towns they represent don't even have that many people in them. And, they were quite impressed.
I took my husband for a tour. He was very impressed.
Yeah.
This is like a college studies space. And she was like, this is amazing. So, yeah.
And before I came down tonight, I was talking to Gay Ellen, and there were a couple of young ladies, and I always asked them this one question. I said, how do you like your teen space? And they said, we absolutely love it. It's such a positive, and it's just a positive thing for this library, and then for them to take have a feeling of ownership. We've done a good job with that.
Vern has a weekly gaming series on Friday afternoons.
Oh, nice.
We have a yarn club, and then also next week a water club.
So these are summer programs?
Yeah, so yep, so we're excited to with that.
Can I ask something about the layout of this form?
Of this
That one, that one specifically. Part of the reason we're switching to these new forms is to get less data on here so it doesn't look as messy. And I'm wondering if this one still has too much data on it. I don't know if it's a quarterly report. Do we need all 4 quarters? I know going forward, the plan was to compare it to previous quarter.
Or is this a year-end report?
Well, it's not, because there's a year-end one that's separate. That's only the 2 columns, fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26. And so I'm just wondering, do we need, if you're gonna do a quarterly report, I think the previous ones that you had done just had the 3 months in them. If I recall correctly from our April meeting, for example, it had only had January, February, March.
Right. Yeah, because this was the end of the fiscal year, we thought having the quarters summarized was of interest, but
yeah, I guess that's fine. I think going forward, you don't want a quarterly one that says, so the next one doesn't start at Q2 26, and then going forward, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this would be like a once a year type of thing.
Okay. So then I guess the question is, then do you need the other annual one?
I know. But don't you love it?
It's interesting. It's interesting to see the
right?
changes quarter over quarter.
Yes.
Well,
Right.
yeah. I
If it's
think-
not too much work to put it together.
Right, so that's the thing, is I think on a quarterly report, a quarter versus, a Q1 versus Q1 one would be much more interesting.
Right, and we're gonna get there.
Right, I knew
as well.
Right, exactly, right. But the point being is, we're gonna do that, do we also then need every quarter for the past year kind of thing?
Yeah. Unless just once a year for the end of the year.
But then if you're gonna do it once a year, then you'll always miss the Q4 comparison to the previous Q4. What's that?
Could be a fourth.
Could be a fourth. Yeah, we can have a fourth form on here too.
But no, I hear you. So this is
I
our
don't mind
first,
it,
our
I
first
will
time.
say.
No, I mean, I don't mind it, but I'm just wondering, like, at some point, like,
Yeah, this is, a work
yeah,
in
exactly.
progress.
It's a, yeah, exactly. It's a
We
work in
hit
progress.
these new
I'm
milestones.
throwing that out there as
Yeah.
like is this too much question?
Yes.
And I also feel like, for me, the most important one is year over year.
I like that.
Yes.
That's the most
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
revealing, right?
Right.
Right. The, I'll move on to the infographic just, before getting to that one, because this is sort of just like the sole positive stuff that I think is good for the library and trustees to have in the pocket to talk about the great work. The FY '25 is not something that, you know, the comparison with some negative numbers is not something that, you know, we'd want to
This is
shout from the mountain
publicity.
about.
Yeah.
I wonder how
And
much of
then-
that is. I was looking at that data. There's a lot of like. I'm wondering how much of that was the teen room closure. Like,
Part of it.
Right,
because
some of that is,
So, yeah, this is, you're saying this is kind of a public-facing sheet that helps us showcase,
Right.
you know.
Right, right,
numbers.
how,
Yeah.
Talking
what we
points.
do
Showcase
and
the good
for the
stuff.
fiscal year, you know, we have the annual report. It's just sort of a summary of our fiscal year, which is great. The second one, the 25 comparison, is sort of helpful for trustees and staff to examine
Mhm.
what happened and why. So we can identify if there are issues, or if we can just identify that, you know, we were under construction for 8 months.
Right, like study room use down 26%, so presumably that's the construction, right?
It may be.
I'm sure that, you know, the construction impacted programming too, because there were far fewer programming spaces.
Absolutely for the teens.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the biggest
Well, just in general.
drop
probably, too.
here. Well, that's the highest percentage change here for
Yeah.
anything for the library progress for teens, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to put this infographic up in the library's social media accounts?
Yeah, so Dale's going to include this in the next newsletter, and we can put it also on the social media and the displays in the library, provide this to all staff. And, yeah, we've already shared with Amy also, so you can see it in the news we made on Friday.
Oh, great.
She's really excited about numbers that tell the tale of how tax dollars are being spent. So this is sort of what we intend this to be, sort of the good news.
Yeah.
Of all the hard work our staff did this year.
Yeah.
The 26-25 comparison is sort of like where we get to work and look at these numbers and start to think of what are they telling us, and are there things we have to address. The study room numbers are concerning. You know, it may be partly due to the construction, but we also moved the study rooms to an online reservation system in July. So seeing how that plays out, we thought it would open up access and make it easier for our patrons to book a room themselves rather than call us the day of, which they had to. But we'll have to revisit that and see if there's an issue there, or if it is connected to the construction project. One number that I think is exciting is, despite all that, our new library cards issued is up by more than 11%, which is a nice healthy number.
Yeah, that's a huge jump.
And then again, I think our final gift from Holly, you see at the bottom, is increase the number of children's programs and attendance there. The new supervisor has a lot of work to do to maintain that standard that we all expect.
I'm wondering too about, since we did have this construction year, which, you know, obviously affects some of these items, for this time next year, it might be good to have the 3 years in a row to see if we've bounced back to FY 20 once we get to the end of FY 27.
Josh might fight you.
I might,
What's that?
Josh might fight you, too much.
Might be too much
information.
Thank you.
line with statistics.
I had a question about, we had appended this to the annual report in previous years. And I assume we might want to do something similar again. I don't know who's compiling the final version of the annual report with
For
the
the
cover
town's
letter.
annual report? The town.
Of our,
No, the library trustees annual
Yeah.
report, which has, the things that we'll be talking about, goals 5 and 6, along
Goals.
usually a cover letter, and then we included this statistical summary as an appendix on that as well.
Yes.
I don't know who was doing that, and I wanted to make sure we were flagging that and preparing it for that.
I think we are 1 month behind from where we were last year in reviewing the goals. So I think last July we were at the place that the final review was voted on, and then the letter was produced and sent out with the statistics as an addendum. But we're looking at probably August to vote on the final trustee review of that 26 action plan. Figure the letter with the plan and the 26 statistics. So that's my report.
Thank you.
Another good year.
We have some new business action item to vote on and accepting list of gifts.
Two items for the trustees to accept. Then tomorrow we'll send them on to the select board for their July 21st meeting to accept. The first one is the painting titled "The Charles River in the Fall" by an artist, Newell Converse Wyatt. This was donated to the library by John Wyatt and Amy Wyatt, and praised for replacement value of $125,000. It arrived here this spring, and last month we received the signed deed of gift forms from Amy and John. So they were waiting until the painting was here before that was completed. So that is done. The second item is a collection of 13 drawings on paper and 1 watercolor on paper. I will cover that was purchased on the 5 Library Foundation of Freedom for the library. These were purchased at a very large discount from Amy and John Wyatt. But it is a generous gift from the Library Foundation of Freedom for our archives. And that those have an appraised value of $84,000 for the large discount price that was paid.
And those are like insurance replacement cost appraisals.
So once they go through the process of being accepted tonight, that's if you're designed to do that, and if the select board does the same next week, then we will work with the finance department to have it added to the town's insurance.
So so go ahead, Rob, I'm sorry.
So I was gonna say, I'll make a motion to accept these 2 gifts.
Second.
Okay, let's do this. Gerhard Gray,
Aye.
Kate Cahill,
Aye.
Jay Fialko,
Aye.
Rob Pettit,
Aye.
Joshua Small. Joshua Small,
Aye.
Megan Small,
Aye.
and myself, Michael O'Neill, aye. Motion passes it unanimously. Excellent. Hey, that's good. I think that's, and that's part of those 14 items when, in total there are 14.
Plus the paint.
Yes.
14 plus the paint.
Plus the paint. Okay, great, that's good. All right. We're moving right along here. Okay, next up on is our trustee review of goals 5 and 6. We have Josh, Megan, and Earhart. People have the floor. Who's ever going first?
We actually
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
But I think Earhart, Josh and I can cover that since we're here, if that's all right. So Josh.
That'd be great.
go.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll go first, that's fine. Earhart, Megan and I met with, Rob and Diana sometime in June. I don't remember the exact date, I'm sorry, I have it on my calendar. To go over goals 5 and 6, which, can obviously all be read here in the paper. We'll have, goal 5, ensure staff is well trained and fluent in analytic resources to provide the best collection of materials for the community. So a lot of, and you can read all this, but a lot of so a lot of work was planned to be done on the collection development policies, which is still in progress due to the construction project, taking away key personnel from this project to work on the obviously very important project upstairs to finish the teen room. But the plan is for it to continue to be worked on this year and have data available as the beginning of January, I guess, early fiscal year 27, so as to have good data going forward. Same thing in the next one was update the collection development policy, extend out practice across all departments. Same thing, key personnel has been used for the teen room project, but again, continues to be a work in progress and are making good progress towards it. Interestingly enough, we had a good discussion on the use of AI in the collection development policy, both in how AI would be used to generate leads for the collection development policy, and also separately whether or not AI items would be involved or accepted into the collection, which are obviously two very separate and both complicated.
What would the second thing be? The AI items we put into the
AI
collection?
books.
AI books,
by AI,
yeah, music,
Audiobooks.
yeah.
As compared to taking advantage of AI in order to help generate the policy.
No, not in order to generate the policy, in order to generate the list of things to collect.
Or the use by the library of
Right.
AI resources in their day-to-day,
Right.
in the staff's day-to-day.
But for example, like audiobooks was one that Rob brought up, was there are now AI versions of audiobooks out there that don't have, that are books that, Gone with the Wind, for example, I'm making that up, but, has an AI version of it because there isn't an actual published version that you can purchase. Gone with the Wind is a bad example, but.
That's a work not protected by copyright, so.
I think it was more the case that the AI was,
Right.
but the AI was more cost effective for the people.
Yeah.
It was a university press in this example, so we ended up purchasing some of those materials and it sounded very good and Rob can jump in.
Is the AI, in your example, Gone with the Wind, is the AI version identical to the original version?
Yes, it's just AI voice.
It's an AI voice.
No, it's an AI voice.
Right.
It's just an AI
It's
voice.
not read
I
by-
see, I
Correct, it's not read by a voice actor, for
Right,
example.
I got it.
Which is not, the talent out there is not that thrilled at the idea of AI taking.
Correct, which is why this is such a
Yes.
complicated thing, and we discussed whether or not there are policies being generated at like national and state organizations.
Yeah.
To come up with this. The answer is obviously yes. So the library is waiting on that guidance as well from like national library organizations and the town also.
And if
Because the
it's,
town is also developing AI policies.
if it's an accessibility thing, for titles that don't have narrated versions out there, audio book versions, then that makes sense. But perhaps the policy might end up being, if there is a human narrated version, we prefer that if it's affordable, and if not, the AI might be a useful plan B.
Right, so that's the second part of the discussion. The first part was whether or not you can use AI to generate lists of things to,
Right.
like, I like this science fiction book, generate me a list of things that are similar to it. As part
So
of the-
foreshadowing future policies. that
Right,
we review
exactly.
every day. We will be reviewing it.
Yes.
And third iteration is, whether we will at some point, I mean, there already are AI fiction being generated, AI, there are AI, all created by AI, right?
Exactly.
So we're gonna have to, decide whether that's something, do we want to spend our library money on things that are AI generated? That's an important question.
So that would become its own separate entity within our library.
Yeah.
Just a little AI section.
Well, there'll have to be an AI policy at some point.
Okay.
But this discussion came out of our revising our current collection development policy.
Okay.
Which is on pause because of the team room, and also Paul is retiring, but also AI is totally different now than a year ago when we started revising this. So it's good that I think we pause, because we can get a better place to incorporate AI, a section about AI into our collection development policy. But for the collection itself, I don't think we would have a section. So we'd have to talk about it.
Most of these AI works are not physical.
They're both.
They're both.
So,
There are bad AI children's books out there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean-
And as AI is not yet capable of actually creating new things, the argument is all AI art and things that are made is stolen.
It's stolen.
No, I understand the whole story. I get it.
Yeah, so we want to be careful about that.
Sorry.
All right, number 2, clarify the processes and create a standard operating procedure for patron purchases and requests. So this has been completed. There's a final draft of the patron purchase request, and corresponding spreadsheet has been developed, which is internal. And basically, all of the people who do purchasing for the various departments now have access to this spreadsheet to look at and say, these are what people are requesting. Now they go through the purchase process. Or purchase policies, or the collection development policies. It makes it a much more centralized thing, as opposed to sending an email into the ether and hoping that someone sees it.
It's accomplished.
All right, for goal 6, which was allocate time and resources to explore the future use of interior and exterior space and design. There are 4 objectives on here to update. The first one was to audit the interior and exterior use of space. This was focused on technology trends and was completed as reported to us by Rob and Diana. And we, believe it's vital that we have this living document that the library put together, and that we are paying attention to the trends in technology, and happy to hear that library is going to continue to update this as things evolve and more new information is received. The second objective was to reorganize the children's room, and specifically to standardize the document the cataloging and processing of physical items. It is completed. Technical services staff portal includes documentation on standardized cataloging and processing of all physical items in the children's room. And this was seemingly simple, but we recognize there was a lot of work on it, and congratulate the work in getting to the standardized process across all the departments here. The third objective is still in progress. It's the only one here we're still working on it, and is about potentially whether we'll be able to put EV charging stations in the parking lot. This is more of an issue for the town, and we're able to do sort of what the town is thinking on it, and we are happy to hear that the library is open to discussing this when it is available, and we discussed how it would most likely be installed up in the Highland Avenue parking lot where there's more space for it, should it happen. And the fourth objective, it is my pleasure to say that the construction of the teen room expansion renovation was completed. We as the trustees cannot be prouder of this accomplishment, and we really applaud all of the work that the staff did in working with the town, the leadership, everybody who was involved in this, and to make it really work around our patrons was just fantastic for everyone involved. The construction story time was really wonderful and seemed to go by fairly quickly without a lot of too many issues. And as we said earlier, it's gorgeous. Honestly, best teen room in the state. I can second that. So really kudos to the library on this. Very, very proud of this accomplishment for this year.
Great accomplishment, great review.
And I think the way that the staff seamlessly kept everything going, that was extremely difficult to not only physically move things, but also keep the day-to-day aspects of the library moving. That was very impressive.
No, it's true. The accomplishment goes beyond the team room, because I walk through the stacks almost every weekend, and what they've accomplished in terms of
Yes.
moving everything around and to the
Exciting.
state where it is now in terms of the shelving and how attractive everything looks is just extraordinarily impressive.
And I'll reiterate my statement I made when we were meeting, but that goes down to the leadership of Rob and Diana, absolutely. So they did really well.
Bravo.
Yes, I think that staff.
And Jen and the whole thing.
And the staff, yes.
And thank you.
Got through a big year.
That was a tough hurdle right there. We could have folded, but they led us very, very well.
Yes.
I'm happy about that. Okay, so we have to vote on the acceptance of this right now, folks?
I think it's the FY27 action plan.
Yes, that's what
No, we're accepting our review of all of the goals at this point.
I think that's for the August meeting.
Is that-
yeah,
that's what it is. Okay.
My bad. Thank you for definitely didn't want to get too far over ahead. So, Rob, the volunteer policy. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
The FY27 action plan we have is the final draft before you. I know you've seen this at the last meeting and incorporates some good feedback to not just include what we're going to do, but include everything that was listed in the strategic plan. And so those have been listed and noted as being completed. That's why they're not part of our FY27 action plan. As I mentioned before, and Diana probably mentioned in June, this plan is shorter than action plans in 25 and 26, and that's because we need time to go to a new strategic plan for FY 20 to 32. So we've already have begun to meet to talk about that timeline and robust schedule of focus groups, surveys, meetings, to make sure we get all the data and research and hear all the audiences we need to hear from, so we can, in the Q3 of the fiscal year, start to draft a plan so that the trustees have enough time to read it and think about it and hopefully have a final vote in June of 2027. But trustees will be part of this whole process. We will make sure to have a focus group that is inclusive of trustees and friends and the board together all sorts of ways to make sure. So we're looking to hiring consultants to help us with the time-intensive parts of this work. Some survey work and analysis of the survey results, running groups for research for us, and providing us a lot of information so start to draft something this winter. Because I may have mentioned before, we're looking about this further, but a strategic plan for the next 5 years that perhaps is shorter than the last one. Specifics and more flexibility for us to create action plans that stick to the strategic plan, but adapt to the current status of the library, our resources, our staff, and trends. Suggesting it's going to be 2 pages, but it may not go for the type of specificity that the last one had. But that is initial thinking, but open for discussion now or in the future as we roll out this project.
And we'll need to vote on the 2027 goals, right? That's a.
Well, tonight, hopefully, on the 2027 action plan,
Yes.
which is the last action plan
Yes.
of our current 5-year strategic plan. Feel comfortable voting on it.
And part of that is the strategic plan, the created strategic plan, right? Isn't that on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I was also just kind of talking about, because like, this is shorter than it has been, and that's just because we wanted to devote a lot of time to the strategic plan. So,
So if we have very specific things, I don't have anything, but if often we do have something, more, I'd like to see, I think there's more individual stuff, almost. And if any of us have items like that we'd like to see, how would we fit those or communicate those in terms of the strategic plan?
okay, the strategic plan,
Yeah,
not the
not
action.
2027, not the.
There'll be all sorts of ways. Yeah.
Surveys, focus groups, yeah.
Yell at me, email me, everything. But
Be kind.
But be
yeah,
kind.
but it's the time to
Okay, to bring
talk
those
about
forward.
everything.
Yeah, okay, good.
What could be and where we should be spending our time for the next 5 years. But I like that thinking. I think we've got some plans in FY27 along those lines. I'm not sure if you want me to review the action items again, or if you feel comfortable voting on it. I mean, I've reviewed these, speaking for myself, but
I've reviewed them twice, last month and this month.
That's the case. I will move to accept the fiscal year 2027 action plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
The roll call. Gerhard Grave. Do you have
Aye.
any-
Well, no, I mean, I don't know if there's further discussion, but if we're going to
Yes.
vote, I vote aye.
Kate Cahill,
Aye.
Jay Fialkov,
Aye.
Rob Pettit,
aye.
Joshua Small,
Aye.
Megan Small,
Aye.
myself, Michael O'Neill, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, folks. We're moving forward, which is great. Anything else?
I was just thinking about Kay's comment about if we wanted something like study carrels, for a strategic plan, or whatever. I imagine because this is a document that we endorse as a part of our governance process, if there was something to come up in that action plan, we could always propose that at a meeting or have a conversation with Rob about things that we wanted to shift or adjust about this action plan going forward if we felt like there was a major need that was missing as we realize it going forward. I just wanted to flag that because that was something that came up in my head as Kay was making her comment. That's it's our responsibility. If we were to shift something or add something to our action plan going forward, we do reserve the ability to do that.
I see. That makes sense.
And it sounds like we're going to have the idea with this new strategic plan would be to preserve flexibility so that to the extent there is a specific action item in a specific fiscal year, we should be able to shoehorn that within one of the overarching goals, hopefully, or modify it slightly. But
there are also lots of projects we do on a regular basis that have nothing to do with our strategic plan or action plan. So
yeah.
Running of the library, for example.
But special projects like
Yeah.
the whole Wyatt thing.
Yes, that's true.
All sorts of things that just.
For some of the more seasoned trustees, is it within our governance to amend these things, like Rob was saying, just to make sure we're on par? Is that some of what you were saying too, Earhart?
I mean, yeah, I think if the action plan is a governing document that we're using here and we're endorsing, I don't think we'd want to, in the 11th month of this action plan, all of a sudden say, actually, there are 5 things we want to add. That would be inappropriate. But,
Yes.
like if we have a conversation or something comes up that seems really important or relevant, I would say that we always reserve the right to amend this action plan and add a priority.
Good. It's just good to make sure we had that on record. So.
And you're talking about the 2027 one-year action plan.
I mean, yes, the one we just approved, because I'm just thinking of that in terms of how we go about governance, in response to your point, Kay, that's something that we can always revisit, but we should do it sooner rather than later if we do think that there's something we missed.
Okay. Let's see here. Where are we?
Volunteer policy.
There we go. Draft of the discussion. Rob?
Thank you. So we kind of took a break from policies after the team room policy was approved. We opened a little team room and all that. So we are back on revising policies. So this policy titled volunteers was created in 1993 and amended 8 years ago. So we revised it and it's presented in the same format as others to you with draft of revised policy with reasons for revision at the beginning and then the revised policies. So this is just presented tonight for discussion with vote at the earliest would be in August, but no vote expected tonight. So this policy we wanted to update. It was amended 8 years ago. We wanted to align the policy with this revision with the library's current operational needs and strategic priorities. And the revisions provide a framework for effective volunteer engagement that supports our mission, strengthens service delivery, and ensures appropriate balance between the work of library staff and the needs of the community. So we have a purpose outlined for a volunteer policy. We have a section defining how we select a volunteer. We talk about training and supervision of the volunteer, the expected work schedule of the volunteer, as well as just a note on that ending volunteer service is a thing. So unlike what you've heard from us before with some policies that we brought before you that we strip out procedures, we thought there was important information to keep in this policy that might be considered procedures, but it's important for, I think, the trustees to have and for the public to know, and that is
that we query people who are 18 years of age or older, and also about the work schedule that we expect people to be reliable and commit to a schedule, and also to let them know that they will receive retraining and that we will care about their safety as a volunteer. So there's just some things in there that you may have thought, it's not really policy, but we just sort of thought these things were important to include.
Do the volunteers fall under kind of like the same guidelines as an employee at will? Is that, so if you're trying to, if you have somebody who's unsatisfactory, that relationship can be terminated without.
So that's why we included the last section, because it has happened recently where it just hasn't worked out. So we've had to end a volunteer relationship with the library. So it does happen. And volunteers are handled through the library, the Human Resources Department. As long as we're happy with the performance and they enjoy and are good at what they're volunteering to do. Sometimes, we have to say it's not a good fit.
I have multiple questions, some of which relate to the previous policy, which were taken out of here, which I think are good things that were in the previous policy. The first one being that the staff should not be expected to quote volunteer, I think is very important to have in here. That was in the previous policy. Partially because it's illegal, but partially like people should say, hey, can you stay late, and help move books around, question number 2 is in the previous policy, there was a lower limit of age of 16, which has been taken out of this. Is that deliberate? And if so, is it because high schoolers need volunteering hours and some of them come at age 14 and 15? And then I guess my third question is a lot of places, a lot of nonprofits, specifically in their volunteer policies, have that volunteers cannot be doing the same work as paid employees to protect the employees against having people come and do their job for free. So I'm wondering if those are things that
would be sort of a union, if the union asked for that.
I don't know if it's the union thing. I mean, like at the cafeteria or at the hospital, which is a nonprofit technically, the volunteers are not allowed to serve food for that reason. Like you shouldn't be doing the jobs of other people that are being paid for the same work.
I'm not sure if you could query a 16-year-old.
Well, you can't.
Right, that's what I was.
But in previous policy, 16-year-olds can volunteer, which I think is perfectly appropriate. Right. I think if we want to say something like you have to be in high school age or something like that.
Right.
Only because the high schoolers now all have community service requirements for graduation. Yeah. So I don't know if we want to put a lower limit of age as opposed to just saying 18 and up will be quarried. Those are my comments.
Yeah, our inclusion with the query sentence was not to set a limit for the age of volunteers, but just to let people know that if you're 18-year-old and you want to volunteer here, you've got to be queried.
Right. So I understand that. My point is, should we set a age limit? And if so, I don't think 16 is the right answer, but
Do we want it? I mean,
right.
Does the library staff think an age limit is needed?
Yeah. The group that worked on this didn't feel it was necessary.
Do we have any younger folks who are volunteering?
We have high schoolers who are doing their community service hours.
Right.
Okay. But we don't have
somebody from
11-year-olds.
Right. I guess my question is, were any of the high schoolers under the age of 16, as far as you know? Because technically, per the previous policy that currently exists, they shouldn't have been.
No, they could have been. So in the adult and young adult, they have to be 16 or older. volunteers in the children's room can be covered. But couldn't that be handled not in the policy, but in our internal procedures? And then we have a little more
Yeah, I mean, that's fine,
flexibility.
Certainly the language of qualifications may cover that, right? You could imagine various qualifications that are either specific to age, or age is a good proxy for that qualification, which might be governed by the hiring process for that specific volunteer need.
Does that mean it'd be at the discretion of the library staff? Is that kind of like what you're alluding to? Is that the policy is as it is, but a person maybe 14 working in the children's area goes through a different kind of process than somebody who's 18?
Well, this is just a policy about having volunteers, right? This is not going to include or describe all of the job descriptions of volunteers that we might, bring on, right? That would be the space in which that would happen.
I'm wondering whether we should have, how should we have a definition of what is volunteer? I mean, presumably an unpaid, but we don't actually say that, right? What, do we need a sentence saying, a library volunteer is X, Y, Z? That's not describing specific duties, but is a person who voluntarily works without pay to participate in some, how phrase it.
Is there any other definition of volunteer?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are various definitions. So this is how it's just kind of defines volunteer for me.
So it might be, and I think this folds in a little bit with the previous discussion about minimum age, but would there be any value or perhaps no value in stating that under qualifications, any volunteers will be subject to any applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations to the extent that there are any restrictions on who can serve as a volunteer or what they can do as a volunteer? I mean, I guess it might be obvious that, of course, they would be subject to those, but
Which is making it as a document or just something that somebody looks at. There's clarity.
It's a fair question, especially given whether there's volunteer roles that have access to patron data. I don't know if that's true or not, but there might be specific training or specific protection that's involved in when paid municipal staff have access to that data. And that might be a question we should be concerned about.
I was just thinking in terms of OSHA too. There might be certain tasks, and I'm sure this isn't the case now, but there might be certain tasks around the library that you might need a certain level of training or equipment or something to do, which just wouldn't be volunteer jobs.
Certain sensitivities. That's why I like this board.
I'm taking notes. To get back to Josh's comments on the existing volunteer policy, it struck us as a little off.
No, I agree. I mean, but I think I agree that it's
Like-
probably too detailed, but I think there were some things in there that were useful.
Yeah. So I don't know what was going on in 1993 that stating that paid staff should not be pressured to volunteer their time, or that trustees should not be expected to volunteer, like what was going on, that would show up in a volunteer policy. But for us, volunteers are more about members who want to volunteer without pay at the library to help the library when the library has projects.
I believe that there were some extreme cuts to library staff right around that time,
Oh,
like 50%. Like
Okay.
it was
Oh,
just very
yes.
significant.
This is like budget related.
Yeah.
Like,
That might have been the
Is it important to outline in that for young people, that we should add the language of, for people that are seeking community service? Do you guys feel that might be something
I'm going to mention the community service.
to
That's
mention
very
that
common.
as part of this particular group's volunteerism is for the benefit of community service?
Yeah, under purpose, we include the sentence that this includes communities that are seeking to volunteer to meet a requirement set by a school or other outside agency for the performance of community service.
Okay, that's good.
So,
That's good.
Other outside agency, like as a part of their probation or something like that, for example. I mean, I don't know if we have any libraries like that, but like volunteers like that, but I can imagine there would be.
Oh, that's the rock.
National Honor Society
Yeah.
or mitzvah
Eagle
or-
Scout, a church kind of thing. Yes. I think it's,
Just further to
I want the
Josh's
darker-
point
I want
about
the darker
it's okay.
Thanks, Bob, I appreciate it.
Josh, also to your point about not doing work with library workers too. Actually, I think our volunteers actually are often they help the library staff. So, for example, shelving books. I mean, I don't know what the volunteers do here, but I would imagine they help out doing some things.
right,
that-
there's no like volunteer work or special projects that our staff don't do or have not done in the
Yeah,
past. And
Yeah,
will
I mean,
not
I would
do
think
in the
almost
future.
everything the volunteers.
There's like an overlapping, but we would never have volunteers, working on the circulation desk, checking books or having access to our database of
Yes,
information.
one thing that helps to ensure that is that we state that a library staff member will directly supervise their work, which helps to ensure perhaps that volunteers aren't being put in positions of responsibility within the library.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of the volunteers that were here during the transition really helped the staff supporting just moving books and things like that. I think they were involved in that too. So it's good.
I had a question about the training, that first sentence. I like the idea that we are committing to the singular staff member who will be directly supervising them as providing the training. I also wonder if that is feasible to commit to, or will there be shifts in supervision? Or might we bring on several volunteers that might work across different departments and have a shared training that might be run by several different departmental staff? So I'm wondering about the different conditions under which training might actually occur and whether or not we might be being too strict in that description, or whether that's exactly what we want to say, is that the library person who is going to be supervising them on their shifts is the person who trains them.
I don't think we need to tie those like that, so we can revisit that sentence, because that wasn't the portion. We have too many volunteers for the person who trains them to be the person who supervises them.
Okay, great.
Is there any additional comments? Okay. Let's go to the Library Art Exhibition Committee. Kay?
Okay, so tonight, we have, a vote. So just to say who's there, this summer, we have the photographer, Dan Levine, who has a good display up this, summer, and, coming next is Kevin Gillespie at watercolor, and, in the fall, September, also the case is Ariel Schumacher, who does the mosaics, and I think thank you to Josh for pointing us to Ariel, and to Megan for pointing us to Dan. We do need a vote for October. Faith checked the record and found we did not have a vote for, I thought we had voted on Judith Horowitz for October, so we will need, I'll propose a vote for her. And also, I was, just in case, I don't know if we had a record of whether we voted for November or December for the Needham Art Association. They do Needham Art Association every year. So what I would ask is for us to do one vote to cover October for Judith Hurwitz, the Newton abstract oil painter in both the wall cases. So I'm going to move that. And also I'll move that the Needham Art Association be approved for November and December. Any, if we could have a second and any discussion.
Second.
Second. Anybody mention anything or suggest anything? Open, right? Okay, so, and we haven't had another meeting of our art, so. Okay, so,
We have to vote. Okay.
I'll vote.
Yes. Eric Gray,
Aye.
Kay Cahill,
Aye.
Jay Fialko,
Aye.
Rob Pettit,
Aye.
Joshua Small,
Aye.
Megan Small,
Aye.
and myself, Michael O'Neill. Aye.
And I just,
Passes unanimously. Any discussion?
so finally, I just wanted to mention that we do have February open, so we're looking for ideas for February. It is Black History Month, so if we found somebody that would fit that celebration, that would be a good thing. And also I wanted to touch base with Gay about Gary Lippincott for March. Is that
Still working on that.
still working on that? Okay.
I'm working to try to do it too first, so he only has to make one trip out to, this part of the state. It's hard work.
And also, we have one artist that we're looking at for January. The committee has to meet and kind of review. So,
Yes, Rob.
I just want to jump in and give Galen a second to talk about Sharif Muhammad.
Sharif Muhammad his artwork was an absolute delight. We got probably some of the biggest responses we've had in years for his exhibit. We got a really nice boost from the Needham Observer, who had it as #1 on their event calendar the entire month for every issue that they put out. People came in and were thrilled to see the exhibit. He did sell one piece. We've already got an art commission on that. So it was a really spectacular one, and he said he would be interested in coming back again, which in our case would be 2 years. And hopefully, if we do get him back in 2 years, we get him to actually do a meet and greet. Because I think it would
or
be
even a
fantastic.
presentation, even a community room reception.
It would be it actually would be great to have him give a talk.
Right. So it was
I
really
loved his paintings. They were
His paintings were gorgeous,
Yes.
they were
I love
gorgeous,
the colors, yeah.
and they really popped on our walls.
They looked-
Having
they looked
big
really
stuff
good
is great.
Yeah.
He does murals in Boston, huge murals.
Yes, we actually, one of our people actually lives 2 blocks away from one of his big murals, so she sent us, in our email, a picture of it.
Yes, that was great.
Okay. Megan, the MacGyver series.
Nothing to update yet. I've got, again, some thoughts, but we'll talk with, I gotta meet with Robin. Watch the space.
I would say stay tuned.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. All right. Jay, the Friends of the Library.
The big news is still the plans with Rob for Nathaniel Philbrook.
Oh.
In the fall, that the Friends have supported. They had a successful book sale the last go around. And they're putting plans in place for the next, programming over the next year, various guest speakers. It's like a nice work in progress, and those names will be confirmed, soon. Is there anything else that you can recall specifically? They've been contributing, but I'm not, you Phil.
At the June board meeting, the board voted unanimously to spend $45,000 for us to put in with the library state aid money to buy study pods for the second floor
Excellent, that's great, that is really well.
And I should mention, some of that money was money that had been generated from the Doris Kearns student event and was now finally being used to allocate for a specific purpose.
So they want their money used first, so if the cost is less than 95,000, we'll have some residual library state aid monies back in the coffers.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, Rob, anything else?
No.
Okay, Rob Pettit, the Library Foundation.
Yeah, I unfortunately was traveling during their June meeting, which was their annual meeting. Right now they're on summer hiatus. Rob, did you have any updates?
I've talked to Kathy, the president, a few times, and they're eager for town to get to a place where the naming rights agreement can be reviewed and signed, so they can move forward formally to sell new naming rights in the teen room and moving forward. So I'm nudging people again to, that's a process that Kathy and I started in the fall of 2024.
So that's almost 2 years.
So
Is there anything we can do to help?
It has to go through the legal
it's
department.
just, yeah. No, thank you, but
You know, legal.
We know how important that is to the event for their efforts. So to the extent that we can get involved with
so
advocacy.
if they're ready to start selling and getting more money.
The other thing worth mentioning is that we've probably talked about it before, but a date has been set aside for a social get-together for the friends, the foundation, trustees.
Right before the October trustee meeting.
Days and minutes, do you have to do?
October 13th, that's the second
That rings a
Tuesday.
bell.
I think at 6 p.m. It'll be similar to last April where good food, good conversation, and
Then a meeting. Okay. Any trustee comments? Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Are adjourned.
You have to vote?
Oh, we have to vote, I'm sorry. Just so happy.
We wanted to wait till it would end exactly at 9
It's a
o'clock.
cliffhanger, yes.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Erhard Brave,
Aye.
Kay Cahill,
Aye.
Jay Fialkoff,
Aye.
Rob Pettit,
Aye.
Joshua Small,
Aye.
Megan Small,
Aye.
and myself, Michael O'Neill. Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.